Biggs Radio and iGlobal Radio Network audience. You already know what time it is, exclusive interview time, and it can't get no better than this with the next exclusive interview with entrepreneur, CEO, and founder of Trani Foundation.
Trony Foundation.
Trony Foundation,
Yes, yes.
Trony
Trony.
Foundation, Trony
Yes,
Foundation, Trony
yes.
Foundation. And of course, guys, Trony Foundation stands for Teaching Relationships and Neighborhood Involvement. And of course, the CEO and founder of Trony
Yes, yes, yes.
Foundation is Mr. Darryl Thompson, better known as I. I'm just joking. Better known as
Several
um
aliases. Yes,
and
yes,
several
yes.
aliens, because everybody always has like the nickname or the names, but of course the biggest name is the CEO and founder of Trony Foundation. And so,
Absolutely.
guys, if you don't know, I just want to give you a little bit about the foundation that the CEO and founder Darryl Thompson has. And of course, his organization is a community-driven organization dedicated to mental health awareness, trauma education, community support, and empowering families, which is very interesting to me in the Chicagoland area and beyond, because of course you have landed in different states, lived in different states, so of course you are an advocate about different states. Mr. Real Life Topics Podcast, Biggs Radio, iGlobal Radio Network audience, please
Yes, yes.
welcome Mr. Darryl Thompson to Real Life Topics Podcast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really am honored to be here with you guys to tackle some of these difficult uh life challenges that we all got going on. And I'm really thankful to be a part of this platform who's making it their business to talk about these real life topics in current time live so that way we can just resonate with the audience and let them understand that we understand you are not alone. So thank you for having me here. It's been a pleasure watching your podcast as well in the past, so to finally be on here is really awesome for me. Thank you.
Yes, 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 indeed. And of course, if anyone didn't know, Darryl Thompson is the special guest co-host. So he is the special guest co-host that is
Yes.
discussing this topic with Stephanie's God Shout this evening. But Mr. Darryl Thompson, could you tell Real Life Topics Podcast, Biggs Radio, iGlobal Radio Network audience, who is Darryl Thompson in your own definition?
Okay. Daryl Thompson is a man that has shedded many layers of skin. I have evolved. I was once upon a time just a young man that was an athlete, real strict in particular about my health. So that still resonates with me. I'm an athletic. I'm a advocate for health in general, physical health. I'm a God-fearing man. I've recently, in the last year, got baptized. I've always been a firm believer in God, but I've taken those steps to dedicate myself to God. So I'm definitely a God-fearing man. I'm a father um, of three boys. They are actually the foundation of the Trony Foundation. Funny story, real quick. Um, the name Trony was originally created just for me yelling at my sons, Troy and Tony. So I was yelling at them so much, and it came out Trony. So funny story. Yeah, as far as back to myself, um, I am a community advocate. I'm a big fan of being personable, just being that person that you can relate to, that takes the time to relate to those above and below me. Because as we all know, mental health isn't something that is subject to an age category or a financial bracket. So, I'm making my business just to reach out to the community. Um, Ex-sanitation worker. I used to pick up the trash in the Chicagoland area. Um, and just a loving and caring individual. I'm an aspiring program director. Right now, I have a small program that I'm working with in Oak Street Apartments, where we're running a cultural arts program. So I'm a teacher, as well as a mentor. Over these last few years, I've taken the opportunity just to kind of get to know a lot of young kids and just work with them, try to find them jobs. So I've been in the mentoring solid for about the last year or two as well. All of these things create Darryl Thompson, the man. Definitely into the music. We could dip into a lot of different things. I got my hands in a lot of different pots. I really tried not to limit myself to being good at one thing, especially when you're dealing with things on a spiritual level. I try to allow my positive presence to be felt in any door that it's welcome. You know what I'm saying? To be honest. So numerous amounts of things that I am. But right now my mission is to bring attention to our communities on what mental health may or may not look like in the household, So right now I'm a mental health advocate, and that's what I'm here for today.
Yes, indeed. So what's interesting to me, like you just said, was mental health awareness in the household.
Yeah.
Of course, mental health awareness is very important for us all, but of course, most of us are raising children. And so, being in the household and raising children and being mentally stable is very important for us all. What inspired you to say, "Hey, I want to be an advocate about mental health awareness, about empowering families"? Again, of course, you are a father, so of course that's one pointer. But I mean, you could have done anything else in this world. But what made you say, "Hey, I need to be an advocate about this"?
Well, you hit it right on the head. It came from my parenting experience, Like I said, the things that made Darryl Thompson today, some of them things are still here, and some of them things I have shedded, such as my fast life that I used to live, just as far as being street pharmaceutical, drug entrepreneur, just however you want to clean up that mess that is created. I found myself in a loop of being that provider, protector by any means. And and I realized that the choices that I was making to provide had a lot to do with how I was raising my children. And it had just got to a point where I realized, I'm probably spending more money on lawyers and bond money than I am on tuition and, family trips and things like that. And I had kind of programmed myself to thinking, as long as we got this money and, we got a nice roof over our head and I'm providing, I'm doing my job as a father. Can't nobody tell me nothing. And, three felonies later, I kind of had grabbed a hold over reality and was just like, what I'm doing is creating a lane of destruction that I get to pass down for my generational wealth. My generational wealth is going to be lawyers' numbers, um, district attorneys, blocks and hoods and niggas. You know what I'm saying? Those were the things that I was going to be passing down, and it just hit like, hey, I do not want to pass that down. You know what I'm saying? No matter how lucrative or whatever the situation is, I'm like, I do not want my kids going through this. And so I immediately made a self change. And what I mean by self change is I just kind of like gave up hustling cold turkey. Like, man, Joe, this is my third felony. I got felonies in multiple states. I'm moving out of states and getting cases in other states. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't adding up. I was hotter than the firework on the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
was hotter than the fire that's making it hot over here. El Nino 2026. I was hotter than that. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to realize like this is not what I want to pass on. And for years, I aspired to be like the greatest hustler, Scarface, The Godfather, Shots. These were all my uh role models. They kind of went against the grain to provide. They did what they did. They took those chances. And yeah, those things just stopped making sense one day. And I was like, I got to do something different. So I
Yes, for
started work.
sure.
Yeah, I started just working regular jobs. I was working regular jobs, and I started providing like that. And I just applied the same work ethic I had, just work as much as I could, chase the money, you know what I'm saying? And don't let nothing knock me off my track with my goals, my just treated the job like the hustle, and I did that. And even with that, I was like, man, I'm legal now. You know what I'm saying? But I was still battling with my own addictions. I had come to realize I may not be addicted to, drugs or alcohol, but my addiction was real life money. It was real life money. I was addicted to money. I was like, no matter what it is, no matter how many hours I got to work, I went from risking my life to dedicating my life to, a clock. And I was like, man, this is not healthy. So, I'm like, man, I'm doing the right thing and I'm still not feeling fulfilled in life. Like I'm still not able to raise my children. I'm still not where I want to be, And so I had to do a lot of self-reflecting, a lot of studying on myself. It wasn't like some overnight success at all. It took a lot of like lonely days, uh just to come to terms with myself, to admit that I was wrong, to admit that those arguments in front of the kids are not okay. Storming out in front of the kids is not okay. Uh Having house parties where you're getting, beyond belligerent, having a great time celebrating around your kids is not okay. And it was like an epiphany. It was like, just things just no longer made sense. I was talking about I started dating myself back to high school, just being a promiscuous man. And I was reaching out to buddies of mine, like while I'm going through this self-reflection phase. I'm reaching out to buddies like, hey man, when we were younger and we was like hanging out with all them girls and just man whoring and doing whatever we do you ever feel bad about them things, man? And they were like, no, man, what's wrong with you? Why would you feel bad about the thing? I'm like, man, it's heavy on me. And we was wrong, you know what I'm saying? So, I started trying to push this agenda on friends and it just wasn't working. I had to really separate myself from a lot of my comfort zones and find and make myself comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. That's
So I had
deep. That's really deep about that's really deep. That's a really deep phrase to make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. We got a lot of people tuning in tonight. We got Miss Lynette DeLacy Johnson said this is a great topic. Miss Kimberly Patterson said good evening. Check out Miss Kimberly Patterson at 8 p.m. She's coming on right after Real Life Topics podcast. So please don't sleep on the Kimberly Patterson show. Mr. Brian Hamber's show. He said, nice podcast. Well done. And at Robert Comedy said, what up, fam? Also, Miss Jewel said, good evening, WCHI. Because, of course, we on WCHI, Real Voices, Real Culture, Real Radio in the building. But yes, as you were saying,
shout out to
Mr.
everybody.
Thompson, yeah, shout out to everybody for tuning
Yes.
in. Shout out to everybody for tuning in to the interview and exclusive topic discussion with Mr. Darryl Thompson. And of course, our big topic for tonight is, are we failing our youth? But back to what you were speaking of when you said you had to make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And I'm sure
Yeah.
we all have experienced that in our
Yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah, that's a huge step with what we doing and what we speaking on right now, because I would like to kind of jump on the topic of, are we failing our kids? That's a very serious question. A lot of people are pointing fingers at the teachers. They're pointing fingers at the politics. Social media, and of course parents. And to say anybody's wrong or right, I don't hold that power. But what I have taken the time to like realize is that we all have accountable measures with this, and I say that respectfully because a teacher, they're only allowed to do so much. It's not like they can, discipline our children. They are there to teach our children. They are there to kind of prepare them for the professional aspects of life. Us as parents, our responsibility is to kind of lead them in their more personable parts of life. So, I feel that, a lot of times our teachers, they have that line of, they either want to be extremely personable with our kids and, become their friends, or they have that boundary where they're like stuck in the stone age where they're not creating that bridge, of communication from, generation to generation, and as far as parents, it's the same thing. I know for a fact that even to this day, I struggle with certain conversations with my children. I have kids that are ages from 21, and I've got two boys that are in high school, and then I have an elementary child who's 5. And not one conversation with them, and I'm just like, oh, dad's got it all on lock. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that we as parents have to realize is that we don't know everything, and that is
Hmm.
okay. That is okay. That is okay. It is okay to be wrong as a parent. A lot of parents, I know for a fact, a lot of parents get extremely defensive when you try to explain to them anything about their child. Nobody wants to be told, you need to do this with your child, or, your child gets that from you, or any of those type of things. But the fact of the matter is those are needed, tough conversations. Those are conversations that you have to have somebody to talk to. A lot of times, we would love to talk to our co-parents. Unfortunately, those communication levels aren't always there. So what we do is we find the next best thing to fulfill that void, and it's usually not of any professional help or cultural help or spiritual help. We usually, we dealing with a difficult situation. We're going to self-medicate with whatever it is that we find that suffices, whether it's food, a blunt, or exercise. We're going to find our outlet to make, even though we were wrong, okay. And then we think about it and we dwell in it. And those are all great first steps, but the next step is vital. Is what are you going to do after you have digested all of this, after you have processed it? What is the game plan? And is
Yes,
the
for
game
sure, for sure, for
what is the
sure.
game plan? Because everybody goes through their shit and gets through it, but not a lot of that's all we do. We just get through it. We don't really fix it. So we have reoccurring issues with the same child or with the same situation.
For sure. I
So
wanted to break down to some people that might not know. Of course, comprehension about failing the youth should be, common sense. But I just wanted to dwell and give that definition of failing the youth. And failing the youth typically refers to a systematic breakdown where society, institutions, or older generations, this is a key thing, older generations fail to provide young people with the essential resources, support, and opportunities that they need to thrive. It often leaves them with a lower quality of life or fewer prospects than previous generations. So I just wanted to give a slight definition of failing the youth and how, of course, support opportunities for them to thrive, leading by example. And these are some of the things that I think we all at some point have fell short on or is falling short on right now today as we speak. And in my opinion, today, not that any other day as a child wasn't important as of today, but as of today we're facing so many challenges. Youth is really, it is really important for us to provide these resources for them and to change the way we're operating, because it's damaging our youth, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. That definition couldn't have been more accurate, especially when you said the generational gaps. That's one thing that is key to the issue with the bridge that does not exist. We no longer have that bridge, that generational bridge of communication. It's fallen short, and it's like I don't want anybody to feel like there's this right or wrong way to do it. Throughout life, we have continued to evolve. Right now, we're in the times of technology. And these times that we're in, not one person has ever been in. Nobody has ever dealt with AI technology. Nobody, live streaming technology. Just the Facebooks, all of the social medias that are accessible. So, we're dealing with, a huge thing that's not only good but also bad. It's a distraction, and it's a tool that if we don't learn how to utilize, we're going to lose our youth. You know what I'm saying? If we don't start creating some type of boundaries to the internet, we're going to limit human morality. Because on the internet, you're allowed to do whatever you want and nobody is held accountability. Why? Because they're doing it for streams, they're doing it for likability, they're doing it for attention. These are all things that kids want, that they can get at home, but we're just not giving it to them. Why? Because parents are in their damn phones. Parents are using technology. Even right now, I'm on this live stream and I have a child right now who's set up in his room eating food and on a tablet.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
You know what
They're
I'm
more
saying? Like,
they're yeah, it's not like
it's
back in the day when we were outside, that's for sure. They I mean, we had to be in the house before the street lights came on and we was dying to be outside past there. And now this technology has took over. They don't even come out their room. They just content with
yes,
in front of that game and things like that. But of course now it's time to pay the bills. So of
yes,
course
ma'am.
let's play a few, let's pay a few bills, guys.
Sounds good.
Y'all better pop out and be in Hardin, Michigan. I'm just saying. This Friday and Saturday. Friday is the all white party, and Saturday is the beach fest with the blue notes. You guys bet not miss out on that. The rooftop party, of course, guys, is in Indianapolis, Indiana. You don't want to miss Biggs Radio rooftop party either. I'm just saying, go to bigsradio.com and make sure you check out all the events that's coming up. It's popping. But of course, guys, we're going to get back into our topic. Of course, it's an honor to interview and to get to know the CEO and founder of Trani Foundation, which is a foundation that empowers families, focus on mental health, focus on education, trauma education, and just things that match with our topic for tonight, which is, are we failing our youth? Because of course the Trani Foundation did come out off the strength of growth and development for families and growth and development for our mindsets on, in my opinion, things that we definitely, which is not even my opinion, it's a fact that we as adults need to lead by example, and is a part of the problem and maybe not so much a part of the solution while we're raising our children and just setting examples for them. But Mr. Darryl Thompson, I did want to dwell on the Trani Foundation just a little bit more. If you can just tell people where is the Trani Foundation out of, what city and state? Because of course we have everybody, and shout out to everybody that's listening all over the world on Biggs Radio and iGlobal Radio Network, internationally, Tennessee, Mississippi, Atlanta, so many countries are listening right now, and even everyone that's listening on StreamYard Live on Facebook and YouTube and WCHI Biggs Radio Chicago.
That's
So
right.
of course I just wanted you to just give a little bit of information about maybe what's coming up next. For Nashville is in the building as well too, so shout out to Nashville. But I just wanted you to just dwell a little bit on the foundation and just let us know maybe what's coming up next, or maybe just some things. I know you had a Juneteenth event that, and you have a lot of things that you do and you have done with the Trani Foundation. So if you could just give us dwell on, the foundation and the things that you do, because the Trani Foundation is built out of the Chicagoland area, correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. We're based out of Chicago. Um, we're like near the Humble Park area, but we reach out to different areas of the area and offer our services. Right now, we have a cultural arts program. We have a mentoring program, as well as just mental health awareness is a program that I'm developing. Um, where it's a 3-week program. This is my aspiring goal. This is Troni's long-term goal, is to create a program for our youth that's transitioning through juvenile court or foster care. But we are here for everyone. But I really want the attention to be on our youth, ages from 8 to 16, that are in those, die-hard situations. And the reason why I wanted to reach out for them is because these children are dealing with issues that have not been addressed, mental health in the house. So what I would like to do is kind of just bring to the attention to our kids what it may or may not look like, by implementing a 3-week program. And in the first week, I would like to address mental health firsthand, what it may or may not look like in your house, such as, when mom and dad is struggling throughout the week, they're not cooking the meals, dishes piled up, clothes piled up, and you're a child and they're coming down on you, and you're at an age where these kids are not stupid. They know that the house is dirty. They know that, they need their clothes washed. These kids are not stupid. And then, here we are, laying down law at the end of the week, why was you late? Why your grades looking like this? And, Maybe it's because they wasn't feeling themselves. They ain't had their favorite outfit for picture day, or
Mhm,
they told you that they needed
mhm,
something signed and you forgot. And
mhm,
these are all
mhm.
things that us as
Yes.
parents, we are very, very, very seldom to take accountability for that affects our children. You know what I'm saying? So the first week I would like to address mental health things, like when you're seeing your parents shut down, or moms, dads crying, these are things, signs of depression. When you're seeing your mom, she smokes cigarettes or she smokes her weed, but she's smoking a lot more than usual. These are signs of, stress, and so I feel like if we were just to kind of introduce these things to our kids, they'll be able to better handle their parents' situations. You know what I'm saying? They'll kind of they'll be knowledgeable of what it is, you know, their parents are going through. Because I'm at a point where I have kind of not given up, but I just know that adults are going to be adults. You can't make adults seek help. You can't die. You can't tell these parents, you bipolar, you need to go to the doctor. You have depression, you should go to. People feel attacked. So it takes for a parent to want to address themselves and seek help in order to actually do it. And
Yes, for
right now,
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
and right now we can't like make people do that. But what I can do is introduce to these kids what it looks like. And that it's your parent. It doesn't mean your parents are bad parents. That's not what this is signifying, is that, oh, your mom is crazy or your dad is crazy. This is an opportunity for these young adults to work as young adults. So when you see those dishes piling up and you see your mom in her mood, these are your opportunities to become that a young adult that these kids want to be. If you're a child and you want to help your mom getting through these things, maybe you may not be the best dishwasher, but you can run a hot sink of water and soak dishes. If you can't necessarily wash clothes, but you need your clothes washed as a young adult, separate those clothes. These are tools that I know growing up, were instilled in us. It wasn't optional to be responsible. It wasn't optional to take accountability, or else you got your ass whooped. But now, we really aren't allowed to whoop our kids. You know what I'm saying? It's just and then on top of that, it doesn't really help. It doesn't
Mhm.
really help. And
Yeah,
so
so
what
Miss Kimberly Patterson said, "Yeah, what if your child is rebellious and don't listen?"
if you're dealing with a rebellious child and the child is out of your hands, they have so many programs. Send your child to mentors. I recommend mentors greatly because some of the most troubled kids have elevated through mentorship. I also am a strong believer in programming. If there's programs that you think might interest your child, bring those things to them. Introduce different opportunities for your children so that way you can build a connection, because the only reason why your child is going to rebel against you is because you don't have a connection. They're going to go with their friends, they're going to go
Right,
with whoever ever because they
right.
feel that connection. So you have to find that, and it's not necessarily easy, depending on how much damage is done. But there is, if there's a will, there's a way. Give yourself 30 days to figure out something you and your child uh can bond on, whether it's something that they like that you learn, or whether it's something that maybe you like that you want them to learn. Try to find those common grounds or common activities. You know what I'm saying? If your kid, um like right now, I'm battling kids with games. Game systems are a big thing. Kids love games. So what I did, instead of telling them, oh no, you're not going to play that game, you know you need to play a sport, I started playing the game with him without the game. You know what I'm saying? So like
Mhm,
whatever
mhm, mhm.
what you know what I'm saying? Like acting out the game. It's it's another gentleman that I see does that often. His name is hold on. There's a few good people that I want to speak on behalf of tonight. But
Miss Kimberly Patterson said he isolates himself from the world. Tried to get into counseling. The village has helped as well. No success. But I want to rewind back to a few things that you did say, Mr. Thompson, about maybe like spending more time with your children. And because now I am getting ready to speak, because of course this topic is really important to me, because
Hmm.
sometimes we don't realize, which is a big pointer, that us as parents might be a part of the problem. I mean, I know we do the best we can and our intentions are not problematic, or we were just waking up saying, hey, I'm gonna be a bad parent today, or I ain't gonna listen to my child today. But I've realized, because at one point I thought my son was rebellious, but now today we have a better relationship because I spend more time with him. I listen to him, I hear him out, because like you said, sometimes we can always be like, hey, why you ain't cleaning up? Why you got them pile of clothes over there? Why you ain't doing them dishes? Why you got a D on your report card? Why you doing this? Why you doing that? And we're actually stressing our child out more than we think.
Yes, yes, yes. Like those questions that you're asking are attacked questions. We have to adjust our question asking. Like instead of asking, why do you got a D on your program? Like, hey, do you need some help with that class?
Yeah,
Those
but I
questions.
know for a fact
Yeah.
we more
Hmm.
nag our children. Again, we're not
Yes.
intentionally doing it, but we more nag our children, because I shout out to Black Men United, the
Absolutely.
CEO, the director of Black Men United. He has been giving me, because he was a young man,
Hmm.
and at one point, and he gave me that big pointer. Because he caught me doing that, and I was with my oldest son and he caught me doing that. He was like, hey, you had he has a voice as well. They have a voice
Hmm.
as well. I mean, again,
Yes.
our intentions are for them to grow. We're not nagging them to harm them. We're nagging them, or we are disappointed in them, or try to get them in counseling, or try to get them to do certain things because we want them to be great. But at the
Right.
same time, we can be a part of stressing them out more when we do that, and more in like asking them, hey, what do you want to do? And I'm down for whatever you got going on. You know,
Yeah,
you
yes.
playing a game? Let me
You
play the
have to,
game with you.
yes, you have to meet them where they are. You
You
have
have
to,
to.
especially right now because parents are in competition with the internet and we are losing.
Yes, we
We
are.
are in
Yes, we are.
competition with the internet and we are not as fun as the internet. And so we have to engage in our kids' interests or else we're going to lose them to the internet. We're going to lose them to whatever the internet makes okay. Um, and another thing that I want to hit on, I know we're running low on time, is us as parents. One thing that I know we lack is our own etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
Etiquette.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're not respecting our elders for them to respect their elders.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many men my age that are opening doors for women. There's not many men my age that are letting elderlies across the sidewalk. Or, young men at 20, 21, 22, letting people just cross the sidewalk without
Mm-hmm.
beeping your horn, disrespecting. When was the last time you seen a young kid at the store helping an old lady with her groceries to the cart?
Mm.
These things I remember growing up. These things I remember doing as a child. I ain't saying like, I lived in some old Partridge family neighborhood, but what I did understand was respecting my elders was something that was not optional. It was something that the community would frown upon if you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, people are pulling out their phones, they're recording disrespect. Even myself, I know for a fact that I have done these things wrong. But the first thing is admitting you're wrong and fixing it. A lot of people want to send their troubled children to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I dropped the other day was, you know, people with mental health issues don't go to the therapist. It's the victims of people who deal with mental health issues who have to go to the therapist. So,
Mm-hmm.
say for instance, you're dealing with uh, you're a child, you're dealing with this chaos at home. Your parents aren't even accountable for what it is because they're grown, they're paying the bills, and they taking care of your little butt. So, whatever it is that they're doing, to them, it's okay. because they're doing what they got to do. A lot of us have to understand we are not meant to live in a survival state of mind. That is a hopefully a temporary state for all of us. And even if you are in that survival state of mind, you have to find joy and peace in it, or else you will stay in it. You have to appreciate the hard times. Teach your kids that even when they are struggling, that is a part of life. It is not, to say that your child is dumb or that your child is, hard headed or he don't listen. This is an opportunity for you to understand, hey, look, child, what you're going through is a stage where you make mistakes and you learn. I'm here to help you not make the same mistake or make mistakes as large. Because the whole thing is we can't blanket our children from reality. And another thing is we can't hide our reality from our kids. That is
Yes,
something that I know
yes,
that
yes.
is something that as parents, I know you're not supposed to tell your kids everything, but you do need to be fairly
Oh, you
honest
need
with
to
your
own
kids.
your mistakes. You need to own your mistakes.
Say it
Us
loud.
as parents don't do that. We don't own our mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Model accountability by openly admitting when you make a
Yes.
mistake,
Yes.
apologizing, and
Oh my
explaining
God.
how you plan to learn from it. We as parents have to realize that because, like you said, we paying the bills, so we pay the cost to be the boss. So what I say is go. What I say goes. But at the same time, own your own mistakes because sometimes kids do look at us like, "Oh, you just told me don't smoke a cigarette, but I just seen you smoke 5 Newports." So own your own mistakes.
Yes.
Hey, I'm
Set
smoking
the
these
standard.
Newports. Yes, yes.
Set the standards. Set the standard for yourself and your kids will follow. And I'm not saying your kids gonna be just like you, but they pay attention to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They pay attention to us the same way they pay attention to the internet and know how to do all. They literally watch us and they decide on, you know, my dad's something I want to be like, or my dad is not what I want to be like. And it works
Mm-hmm.
both ways. Some kids like their parents being bad parents. No, shout out to Pooh Shiesty and his daddy. There's a father-son duo. They rode it all the way out. I'm not
Well,
saying that it's a
they
healthy
was a little
choice.
out of there. They was a
They
little
yes,
much,
but I'm
but
saying their bond is there. Their bond
yeah,
is
they
there.
bond is
Now, if we
there,
could
but
get that
goddamn
bond in
dumb.
a positive
Goddamn
direction,
dumb.
if we could get
He
that
was
same
not leading by
connection.
example, and see how he set his son up for failure because he wasn't thinking correctly as a parent. This is what we
Exact.
talking about, failing our youth. And that's a great example. Let's keep this real. When it comes to Pooh
Yes.
Shiesty and his father going on that bogus move, you did not lead by example, sir. You did not lead to do, and like you say, the bond is cool, but the bond was also
It was
failing.
not,
It was
yes, the
failed. You
mental
failed
health.
the youth. You failed your child because you did not lead by example.
It's
You
like
know?
there's not much that we can do other than like learn from those experiences, man. We have to
Exactly.
really learn. Like you
Exactly.
see, everybody's like, man, him and his like all the street niggas, street guys, they're like, oh my God, this is, that's a father-son thing. Some of us realize it's not a good thing. Like, man, I don't want that for my son. It's street dudes right now who ain't doing nothing but living in the streets. They're looking at them like, man, that was stupid. But you know what though? As a parent, that's the type of bond we need. But let's just get it in a more positive direction.
Right, right. We're not going to think about the negative wrong decision,
Yes,
but at the
yes,
point, but he still was down for his son because I'm sure he might have reached out and said, "Hey, Dad, this is what I want to do." Again, it might not have been the right decision, but at the same time, he was down for understanding, hearing his son, side of the opinion.
yes,
Miss
yes,
Kimberly Patterson said, "There is no book on how to raise children. I do the best I can. I am a great mother and I know this. I have owned mistakes. I have opened up with him and apologized for my mistakes, but he has not. It is the disrespect that I can no longer tolerate. At the age of 24, I am raising a grown man and taking care of him. When does this end? I have done all that I can do at this point."
at that age, he's at an age where you You have done the best you can. You are no longer uh you should no longer hold guilt over his actions. You have to allow yourself to appreciate that you have done the best that you can. Now, how he is going to be how he is. How you deal with him is all you can adjust right now. You can adjust how you deal with him. So you know when you see him triggering you, create those boundaries. Hey, listen here, son. I ain't trying to be nothing but be nice to you. You're not gonna talk to me like that. If that's the way you're gonna talk to me, we don't need to talk at all. If you're dealing with a child who's threatening you or things of that nature, you know, we technically not allowed to do a lot of violent things. But I do insist that you get him into some type of mental health programming. Uh because he's battling with things that he's not ready to discuss. And if he's not going to do it, I suggest you do it maybe with just by yourself for yourself. Because as a parent, you will not be able to help him if he's bringing you down to the point where you to a point where your mental health is no longer okay. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing you have to do is structure yourself and make sure that you are okay. And then once you build yourself back up again and you have some good people pouring into you and you have some good habits that you're creating for yourself and you are no longer wearing that dirty coat of whatever it is that your son is making you carry or feel, you will then become empowered. And then at that time, as sad as it is, it really boils down to this spiritual warfare that we in, that's greater than age or color or crazy. It's really just simple good and bad. If you see that your son is, just far off into a direction where you will never want to step forward in, you have to pray for his spirit because that is a spirit that is over him. You know what I'm saying? That is a bad spirit that has consumed him, and when bad spirits are consumed, it's usually because they have surrounded themselves with a bunch of bad spirits, and it has fully consumed them. So, like I said, create those bridges of communication. Try to reflect on those times that were good. At the times when you guys did have good moments in his upbringing, whether it was sports, something artistic, maybe going to the zoo, something family outing. Resonate in those moments, live in those moments. Um, if he's not willing to be in those moments with you, wait for him to come because that time will come. Nobody wants to stay in the dark forever. Nobody wants to stay in the dark forever.
Mm-mm.
Uh, and I found that out going to jail. Some of the biggest, baddest, toughest guys, they go in there and they really change their lives. Because it's just
Mm-hmm.
inhumane for us to 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 be like that. It's not what we're here to do. And life kicks our butt so much that for lack of words, we become a victim to our whatever environment we're in, and then we become accustomed to what it is that we're seeing. And those are all things that we can all relate to. But to overcome those things, it's not a simple matter, and it's not an overnight success. And you're right, there is no book for parenting, uh, but there is accountability, there is structure, there's plans, there's programs, there's a lot of different things other than trying to do it by yourself. And if you are chiseling away at something and you're not seeing any results, you must remove yourself from them situations and allow the most high
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to take
Mm-hmm.
place. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing that I had to realize as a father, going through you know, having my kids and then like not having my kids, them going with their mom. I went through that. It was like the hardest thing in the world for me. I was like, why God, when all I wanted to do was be a father? The hardest thing in the world. And And the only way I found peace in it was I had to tell myself, these are not my kids. These are God's kids, and we are all
Mhm.
God's kids.
Mhm.
And what
Mhm.
I want for them may not be what God wants for them. It may not be God's plan for him to have this peaceful, hunky dory life because he may be set up for a testimony in later on in life where only his testimony and his trials and tribulations will be able to save the next generation of children or adults who are taking the same steps as him. So, don't fall victim to thinking your child is bad because in all actuality, even when you're doing bad, you usually doing it because you want to do something good. You want something nice. You're doing it because you want something good. Most people aren't doing something malicious because it's just bad. They want to be a badass. Like even our president, he sends bombs. Even the president, he sends bombs and does all this stupid stuff, and it's stupid to us. It makes no sense to us, but for some reason in his head, it makes sense, and he feels like he's doing what's best for the greater good. God does not punish people for thinking like that because these people just don't know.
Well,
They
I'm gonna
just
say
don't.
this because we're gonna continue live. We're gonna continue live, but we have almost less than 5 minutes left on air with Biggs Radio and iGlobal Radio Network.
Okay.
And so I do want to end on air with a food for thought because, of course, Real Life Topics podcast always ends our segment with food for thought. Our topic again. I want to thank you, Mr. Darryl Thompson, for coming through. Because of course, youth is very, very important to us. Very important. Very important. It is the next generation when we are all gone. So I had a food for thought, and hopefully you have a food for thought. And my food for thought while ending this segment on air is caring for youth is essential because they are the future leaders, innovators, caregivers of society. Nourishing them directly fosters emotional resilience, builds critical social skills, and prevents long term health on educational disparities. Investing in young people ultimately creates stronger, more equitable, and vibrant communities. So that's my food for thought on making you guys aware of why caring for the youth or why we should dwell and strive every day when we wake up to lead by example for the youth. What you got, Mr. Thompson? What is your food for thought?
I got a little criteria that I think can help everyone, adults and children, when you're moving forward with these challenges. Some of the things that I've written down to take heed in my own self that helps. Having a morning routine, just having that morning routine, even if it's you know uh, making your bed, structure. Okay,
Mhm.
when you're dealing with your children, listen before speaking. When you're dealing with yourself and your mental health, we become overwhelmed. Set daily goals, small ones. Today I'm gonna and do it. Small goals. Uh Make it your business to be happy. It's a choice. It's literally a choice. It's a choice. Make it your business to be happy. Uh Before you make any rash decisions, uh think. Think. Do not make decisions out of emotion. Just think. Um Do not dwell in anything. Get up, move your body, go for a walk, um, do some jumping jacks, whatever it is. Get your body moving. It makes you feel different, just like dancing or a sport. Moving your body makes your brain work better. Read a self help book.
Mhm.
Read a self help book. Find one. Find a topic, plug it into Google, read an article if you don't want to read a book. Find articles to help you. Avoid negative people. That's easy. You have that choice. You keep running back to the same person making you grow gray hairs, you crazy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Uh declutter your space and mind. If you living in chaos, you're gonna feel like chaos. Except for the late great Einstein who lived in chaos and he supposedly was really smart, but that's still not good for your hygiene. Keep a clean space physically and mentally. Declutter your thoughts. Let some of that go. Give it to God. You know what I'm saying? um, and this is one thing that I consistently do. Proof of pudding. Write
Mm-hmm.
things down. Write them down. Write down things. If you don't want to tell nobody how messed up you are, take accountability in your own little notebook. If you're not good at setting goals and just achieving them, write them down. Come back to them. They will be there waiting for you. They will. And I'm a strong believer in when you put it on paper, it doesn't die. It does not die. I got papers flying everywhere. When you put it on paper, it does not die. If I die tonight, tomorrow, I will live on. You are important, you are valued, you are seen. And if you're not, put yourself in rooms where you are celebrated and not tolerated. And that's what I
For
got for you.
sure. For sure. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Thompson, for tuning in, coming in, blessing us. We have to have a part two because 1 hour is just not long enough for us to be aware of, are we failing our youth? Because, of course, that was the topic for today.
Yeah.
WCHI Biggs Radio Chicago is 24/7. Of course, Real Life Topics Podcast is at 7 p.m. And the Kimberly Patterson Show is coming up next. Make sure you
Yes.
guys tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. And of course,
Yes.
you might not can't make it on Thursday nights. Biggs Radio is 24/7, Monday through Sunday. It's always different segments coming on and plenty of hot music playing
Um,
every day of the week, all times a day of the week.
that's
Make
what's
sure
up.
you guys tune in this Thursday coming up, 7 p.m. Central Time, with your girl Stephanie's Godchild on Real Life Topics Podcast. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson, for coming through. Food for thought. Make sure you guys know that you are leading by example. Are you failing your youth? And just reevaluate yourself when you wake up every day, because the new generation is our future, and it is important that we lead by example and show them the things that they need to have to succeed in life. It's Real Life
Absolutely.
Topics Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so now we're off air. Nevertheless, thank everybody for tuning in. That's tuning in.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
thank you. And thank you for coming through. Like I said, we need more time on air because I feel like on air, even though we have plenty of audience that's tuning in right now, we on YouTube and Facebook
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Live.
yeah, yeah.
So we do have a lot of people still tuning in right now. But
That's what's up.
it's like, are we failing our youth? Are we failing our youth? I
Well,
just
now
want
that
to
I
know,
can
are we?
curse, now that I can
Yes,
curse, now
yes,
hell
yes.
yeah. No, we out here. We
Wait,
need to
well,
do
you know, when you're
better.
on air, you have to have that proper etiquette because, of
No,
course, again, we still are on WCHI Biggs Radio Chicago, but being on air internationally, we got to respect the folks. But yes,
absolutely. And then it's like
unapologetic. Thank you for tuning in, Mr. Sidney Frazier. He said he enjoyed the show, and an unapologetic Noble said, "Great job, guys." But yes, are we failing our youth? Are we?
no, we are evolving, and we have come across an issue with our youth that we have to fix, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're like what I really wanted to do was kind of complement some of the organizations that I've been working with, such as
Okay.
educating our community based on the South Side, the Unity Group, Black Men United. I partnered up with them for Father's Day.
Okay.
So those are great outlets. These people are not just Chicago based right now. They are
Mhm.
all over. You
Yes.
Unity, the Unity Group, they were just in the East Coast marching with the brothers, bringing awareness to the fact that the violence has to stop. Black people need to unite more so than continue to be each other's worst enemies. educating our community. They are, a strong program that has actually taken Trony out. They've taken we've partnered with them for some outings. And I love what they do. They hold a lot of men's mental health workshops. You can catch them at barbershops, libraries. They were at New Wave Urban Creations. That's where I met them. At a clothing store, they rented out to bring awareness to our youth in an environment where you wouldn't even expect, in a fashion company. So these there's also uh Love City. They are a program. Look, so Love City, I come across them. I'm thinking they're
Yes.
like a clothing
I believe
brand, Steph. I'm thinking these people are a clothing brand. He goes to tell me that he's a nonprofit program that is teaching kids film and theater so that way they can become content creators.
that.
So there are so many tools being created because it's the time is now. The
Mm-hmm.
time is now. We're actually a little late because they didn't all, a lot of the bad kids didn't turn 18 already. And so
Yes.
we're like, dang, these kids is, these are YNs, and really they adults. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
These kids is they calling them YNs, but really they are adults.
Right.
And
They're young men and or young women. So yeah.
yes, so this title, you know, like kids aren't even becoming adults; they're becoming white ends. I remember when 18, you finna be grown, you finna be an adult. It's like now they just transition from high school to YN, and then they carry this um target or label until they come to their senses. It's like, why do we even want them to be in this genre right now? You know what I'm saying? And we seeing that the damage is done. And it's like, I'm outside a lot. I'm outside. I'm actually like in some of these rough communities dealing with these kids. And, you know, I see a lot of young dudes that are in that median where they're seeing a lot of old dudes doing stupid stuff and a lot of old dudes that they don't want to look up to anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're like, man, we didn't graduated to YN. Now what's next for us is ON, a old nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't see the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that we're trying to present because they grown and they wasn't here. So I wouldn't say we have failed our kids. We have done a generational bit of damage. You know what I'm saying? And the Unity Group, Black Men United, these are opportunities for men of that generation to get involved. Black Men United is exactly where every YN should be heading. Uh,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, to kind of find some type of opportunities to adulthood that you may not have ever known existed throughout your high school life. Now you're 18, your parents are treating you like an adult. Life is treating you like an adult. I had a YN tell me the other day, I graduated from high school and my haircut prices went up, and he walking around looking crazy because he refuses to pay $40 for a haircut. It's called growing up, son. You are now a young man. And I'm not saying, every barber should be giving a kid a discount, but they should give these kids some incentive like, hey man, you come with a job application filled out, and I got you on a haircut. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, a lot of I really
Yeah,
don't
because
like
I do
speak.
think it's a drought. It definitely is a drought on the community service for barbers or anybody that can maybe provide help to, like you said, the young generation. It definitely is a drought on, like you said, it should be some more community service or more. Shout out to my brother Kenneth. He's doing the back to school special, whereas for the month of July and August, he's lowering the prices extremely for cutting hair, for adults and
Absolutely.
children. So, these things are important because it helps motivate, or it can become affordable, and and like you said, you can come up with tactics like, hey, bring me your report card. You got them A's and B's, no D's and F's. I'm going to give you a free haircut for 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be. So,
Or
yeah,
mom
it definitely.
struggling. Hey, look, hey, if your bills is paid, you get a free haircut for your kids. These things, it's so many ways that, we can help each other. You know what I'm saying? I know people who are a big fan of the bartering system right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, say for instance, you have a talent or your child has a skill. Use these skills to not necessarily to create revenue, but to create uh connections. Like say for instance, you know, you have a child that's a great painter. You know what I'm saying? There's there's it's hard for me to explain this bartering system on a parental level, but it's
Mm-hmm.
basically like trading goods for goods, work for work. You know what I'm saying? I feel like these things, while we're in our struggles, if you're in your survival mode, instead of going out here rushing to find a fast hustle or, knock a lady's head off for her purse or whatever you trying to do, utilize what you already got. Hey, look, Joe, look. I can't afford to pay you, but is it okay if I cook you meals for this week? My son really needs X, Y, and Z. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, they may not be the person you wanted, but there is people out here who are looking to help people. Another thing that I know as black people is we just people in general, you have to have a receiving heart. You have to be ready to receive your blessings. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
us have too much pride. They're like, oh, I don't like asking nobody for anything, or
Mm-hmm.
I know what I could do, or I'm gonna do it, and that is not what we're here for. That's you're not supposed to do it by yourself.
Mm-mm.
If
No,
that
it
was the
takes a
plan,
village. It takes a village. It takes a village. And I mean, it used to be like that back in the day. I mean, the neighbor could get in your butt back in the
yeah,
day, and the neighbors was taken care of. Pastors was being pastors. Even stepmamas and stepdaddy was on their thing. It wasn't even toxic. It was just a big difference back in the day. And that foundation has definitely crumbled for us. It's
yeah.
crumbled extremely for us. And I just want us to be aware, because even I became aware at one point. I had to realize and reevaluate myself. And so that's why these topics are important to me, because I once was in my light bulb or light was turned off. And I didn't realize, hey, some of the things that you're doing, you're a part of the problem. Parents arguing, people don't know about that. That can be damaging towards children. It's a lot of things that are damaging towards children. One big pet peeve of mine is when you have the parents that talk about the other parent to the kid. Oh
Mhm.
man, that's so traumatic.
It's the
That's so
worst.
traumatic. Your
It's the
daddy
worst.
ain't nothing, or your mammy ain't nothing, and oh man, that's the worst. So we
Yeah.
just need to realize that we some of us are a part of failing our children. We
Yes.
are not
And
leading bad
I'm gonna
examples.
say this too. I'm gonna say this. Some of us parents are blessed, extremely blessed, to have extremely educated kids, well balanced kids, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you still crazy. You as a parent. So just because your
Tell me.
kids is
Talk
good,
about it.
don't mean you are all-star parent. You know what I'm saying? There is always some room for improvement. Because what I had to learn, you either gonna teach your kids what to do, or you gonna teach your kids what not to do.
Yeah, okay.
They gonna look at your parents. You gonna kids look at their parents. They either gonna be, I want to be like my mama. I want to be like my daddy. I'm like, hell no. I will never smoke weed. Cause that just my dad did this, so I will never drink alcohol. Or I'm at a point where my oldest kids, they're like, I don't want to have kids. You know what I'm saying? And
And
it's
then you
like,
also have those kids that'll pick up that bad habit. and become a alcoholic or become a drug addict or what have you, just like their dad, or a woman beater or
Yeah.
mistreater or their
Yes.
mom. And well,
Yes. Yes.
sometimes those kids end up, because like you say, it's either one or the other. The kid gonna choose, hey, I don't want to be like that, or they end up being like that. So
Yes.
that's why
So
we have
regardless,
to.
regardless if you know it or not, your child's gonna end up like you.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Especially with
Regardless
the
if it's the good
DNA.
part,
DNA is
right?
real now.
Yeah, it's like even the co-parents, the step parents. If you got a step parent that's spending more time with your child and he's creating bad habits, guess what? The child is doomed because he's in that environment. He's being raised. He's being conditioned to be a certain way. So it's very critical to like pay attention to the environment that you're placing your kids in, and um, and not to just put your kids in the school. Become, I ain't saying you got to be friends with the teacher, but you need to know that teacher. You need to have
They're
communication where,
friends too. They're
yes, you
friends
need,
too.
yes, they're friends. These are key elements to this thing, to parenting, is communication, having uncomfortable conversations. Don't be scared to lose your kids. Don't be scared that the school gonna come down on you. They want to help you if you want to help yourself. But a lot of us are so in denial of us doing anything wrong or that we need help, that or that we're doing anything wrong. I think I said that already. That I don't need no help. Or you too busy to get the help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
that's
so
and
look,
that's
you
deep. That's deep. That's deep because again, sometimes, and this is a big pointer too. Some people think when they say, "Hey, I'm a good parent. I'm a good parent. I do this." Being a good parent not only does consist of paying those bills and roof over the head. Now, a lot of people think because they get the latest Jordans, the latest shoes, your kid ain't dirty, your kid got on fresh pairs of J's, and
mm-hmm.
you bull crapping your money off with them and buying them the True Religion jeans, and I'm a good old parent because my kid ain't got to want for nothing. They be G'd up from head to toe.
Right,
But they
right,
ain't
right,
got a
right,
piece
right.
of, but they ain't got a piece of sense in their mind, and they gonna
Right.
go out there and get in trouble, and or you're not giving them valuable tools, giving them the spoon so that they can feed themselves when they get older. Sometimes we actually be an enabler towards our
Oh my,
children.
look, so that goes back to the partying with the kids. I'm not saying you can't party with your kids, bro. But I'm saying you should not be the drunkest person at the party around your kids.
Mm,
You should not be Travis Porter, highest in the room, at the party with your kids. You shouldn't be showing up to these events. Turn.
yeah,
You
yeah.
shouldn't be showing up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
not
sir. Yes,
because not
sir. Yes,
because
sir.
you're a bad parent,
True.
but just because it's a bad example. They're
It's
saying,
a
hey,
bad example.
you could just
True.
like that's why you think it's okay to show up to work. Turn. Now they showing up to school. Turn. Now they showing up. It's like there's a time we have to have that structure. Like, look, I remember there was parties with kids, and then there was adult parties. Two
Yeah, the
totally
kids
different
had to go to
things.
sleep. It was the kid party was
Yeah.
during the day, and then it was grown folk time, and ain't no kids in here. Y'all get up out of here.
Yes. Like,
Yeah,
don't
we
get me
didn't.
wrong. We may be doing it around, but it's in a different room and they getting yelled at if they come out the room. For some reason I couldn't smell weed back in the day. It was like they had a big fan or something. I don't know what it was,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I know
yeah.
it
They
was a
did.
it was a boundary. You know
Yes,
what I'm
it
saying? And
was.
then
Yes,
like
it
say for
was.
instance, I would go to family members' houses and it would be okay for them to smoke around their kids. Oh, look at them like, what's that smell? Oh, they smoking weed, and it's like just two different upbringings, and that shit matters.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
It
what I'm saying?
matters. It
Because
matters.
then when those kids would come to my house, they'd be like, "Oh, it is so nice to be out here," you know. And I'm thinking like it's just a regular life because we're all kids. I like being at their house like how they being at my house, but I'm not realizing as a kid, my cousins don't like being around smoke all the fucking time. Even though
Mm-hmm.
it's cool over there, they like coming over here because it's a breath of fresh air. Or, just different things, different
Hmm.
different opportunities will be present. So, parents, don't be scared to put your kids in better situations. And it is okay if you're not the best parent. It is okay if you're not the coolest parent. The only thing you have to do is worry about your child and communicating with them, so that way when they going through things, you the person that they run to, not the
Hmm.
streets, not the cousin that you don't get along with. Those type of things, man, really matter. You know, they just really matter.
It really
Communication, teaching
does.
your kid. It
Yes,
does,
it
man. It,
really
it, it
does. Having
matters so
tools,
much.
mentorship, opportunities to build essential resilience, from risky behaviors. It just
Yes.
strengthen us. It just strengthen communities. It's just a lot of things, and it starts at home. And again,
Right.
I'm talking to myself because it
Oh,
starts
that's the
at home. It
yes, and
starts
that's the
at
thing that
home
we have.
because we can send our kids to these mentorship programs all we want, but if they coming back home to toxicity, it's kind of defeating the purpose. So that's a food for thought as well, guys.
Yes,
When we doing this, we
yes,
can do the mentorship programs, we can get all the help we can get, but if we get them kids come right back home to the bad energy, it's defeating the purpose. So that's why it is of importance for us to lead by example and to be aware if you're a part or if we are a part, and or we, you, him, she is
yes.
a part
It's
of
like
failing the youth. We
yes.
cannot
It's the whole
continue
thing.
to fail the youth.
Yes, yeah. And all we got to do is understand this. It starts with us. If your child is having issues somewhere along the line, you as a parent had an issue.
Yeah,
You had an
yeah,
issue. And
yeah.
regardless if that had nothing to do with you, you sent your child to school and some shit happened to your child. It's unfortunately your decision to put your child in that school is it sucks. But it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes, everybody. That's
Yeah, and just
that's
take
the one
account.
thing
Just
that we have
realize,
to
hey, what could I
understand.
did do? What could I have
Yeah.
done differently? Again, we still have those rebellious children that it's very hard to do that, but we have to
Yeah.
find out ways to cope with that, or find out ways where we can help them. Again, I'm speaking from experience.
Yes.
I had a son that just was rebellious and cutting up in school and all type of stuff, and I didn't even realize that. And I used to go outside because, of course, it's
Hmm.
been 2 or 3 years since I haven't went outside. But
Nice.
I used to go outside all the time, and I wasn't realizing I really wasn't spending enough time with the boys. I wasn't spending enough time with them, and they would actually just be lashing out off the strength of that.
That's
Because
it.
I wouldn't
Because they
hear
want
them out. I'm
attention.
like, hey, I pay the bills, I pay the cost to be the boss. I
Yeah.
can do this, but you can't. And no, that's not the case. How you
Yeah.
gonna tell a kid don't tie your shoe on the right hand side, but you tying your shoe? So Mr. Michael Keith says sharing is caring, everyone. Good evening, Grand Raz and Sister Jewel. Happy blessed Thursday. Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Because we
Yes.
still got
Yes.
people tuning in, even though we
Are you
passed our time, but
serious?
we're gonna be into this. We're gonna be
Okay,
into
yeah,
this in a
my
couple of
battery's
minutes.
gonna
But
die.
okay, but yeah, so again, failing our youth. This topic was important to me because I wanted to everyone to just be aware that it's not all our kids' fault on them
Yes,
struggling in their lifetime. Us
yes,
leading by example has a big part of it. And the saying, I can do it, but you can't do it, is a big thing that we need to change around. We cannot be leading like this. We cannot come out and tell our children, hey, you can't do this, but we're doing it.
not
So we
now.
just,
Times
not
have
now.
changed.
Not now. Times have changed because, of course, back in the day, like I said, they'll be in the other room and it'll be bedtime for us. It's grown folk time. This is not the
Right.
case nowadays. We can't do it. We can't do it. Our
You send
children
your
is a
child to the
spiritual warfare.
room. If you send your child to the room for privacy, they watching their mama on Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? Acting a fool, but they in a separate room. So it's like, it's we have to do better. We
And
have to do better.
Michael Keith is from Uptown Harlem. So shout out to Harlem for
Hey
tuning in. We
man,
have people from Harlem
New
tuning in.
York. Hey man, New York, y'all
Okay.
did y'all big one this year, man. Y'all did y'all
Okay.
big one this year.
Shout
I'm
out to
actually
Mr. Michael Key for tuning in to Real Life Topics. Make sure you tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. But again,
absolutely.
we gonna leave this one more time for the food for thought. And my food for thought for you guys is please hear your children out and please know that they have a voice as well. It's not always about us. It's not always about the child is being rebellious or the child need help or they got to get to the mentorship program. Sometimes we as parents have to reevaluate ourselves, and we can be a part of failing our youth by not leading by example in several ways on positivity and just the things that we do in front of them and we present in front of them. So that's just food for thought. What's your food for thought, Mr. Thompson, as we're ending our segment on Real Life Topics podcast?
I'd just like to say to all the parents, it's not too late. It's not. It's not too late to fix whatever issues you're dealing with within. It's not too late to fix your generational issues. It's not too late to fix that bond with your child. And it's not too late to fix that child within. Fix that broken person up in there. If uh if for some reason you having trouble, reach out and talk to somebody. It's my advice. That's what I gotta say.
It's a lack of maturity in leadership, guys, and we got to
Mm,
change that around.
yeah.
We got to lead. It's a lack of maturity, and we have to be mature for our youth. So, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Mr. Thompson from the Trani Foundation. And if you let everyone know how they can follow you and how could they contact the Trani Foundation if they want to be sponsorships or they want to be a part of growth and development for the community. How could they contact you, Mr. Thompson?
Absolutely. You can go to our website and still developing, but you can get to my email as well as a few of my platforms. TronyCity.net is the website, as well as you can find myself, my personal page, Darryl El Padrino Thompson on Facebook, um, and Trony Foundation on all platforms. Trony NFP on TikTok. So yeah, you can find us there. We do have a back to school event coming up. We will be partnering again with Ward 37, Emma Mitz. We've been invited out, so we will be doing something again in the Austin area. And if you're looking for some programming, reach out. I would love to work with anybody. If you're looking for a personal mentorship, I would love to work with your child or your children. Reach out to me personally at tronyfoundation@yahoo.com.
There you have it, guys. Trony Foundation at yahoo.com. Our youth is important. And Mr. Michael Keefe said our youth people need to go back to church and pray. And that's the last food for thought. God first. God
Yes,
first.
yes,
And let's
yes,
get our kids back into prayer because prayer does change things.
yes,
Getting closer to God and having that spiritual realm because it is a spiritual warfare for our children. And
yes,
that's a big pointer that is missing in our youth. I believe and I know for a fact that God is not in the households as it used to be. And a lot of our youth don't know of God or don't know the importance of prayer. So that thank you, Mr. Michael Keith, for that food for thought. Prayer
absolutely.
changes things. Please hit up the Trani Foundation if you feel like you
Yes.
are should be a part of growing and developing the community. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson, for blessing us with your presence. Tune in to Real Life Topics Podcast on bigsradio.com, iGlobal Radio Network from the Cadillac Studios. It's Real Life Topics Podcast. Have a good evening, guys. And let's end this live. I edited, so whatever. And
All right.
don't know how to use this. So let's end this live from the public. Have a good evening, guys.